top Ukrainian major issued a stark warning that Britain was simply not prepared for the possibility of a full-scale war breaking out with Russia, highlighting vulnerabilities that could catch the nation off guard in the face of escalating threats from the east. Viktor Andrusiv grimly predicted that the UK would end up paying a much higher price in terms of lives, resources, and national security if Vladimir Putin decided to launch an attack on Europe, urging immediate action to avoid catastrophic consequences. In an exclusive interview with UK newspaper The Sun, Andrusiv candidly revealed that Britain remained woefully unprepared for any kind of direct Russian attack, emphasizing the need for a wake-up call before it's too late. Before Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Viktor Andrusiv served as a prominent director of a think tank and as a trusted advisor to the Ukrainian president, giving him unique insights into modern warfare dynamics. Andrusiv passionately urged Britain to urgently learn critical lessons from Ukraine's harrowing experiences in the ongoing conflict, stressing that the window for preparation was closing fast before disaster struck. Speaking to The Sun, he revealed the harsh reality staring Europe in the face. I quote, "The biggest problem is that people are not going to believe that this can happen. I am sure the UK are not prepared. It does not mean that you would lose for sure, but if you are not prepared, you will pay a higher price. The UK has buried its head in the sand, which could spell disaster if Vladimir Putin attacks. Actually, we had the same problem, in the 21st century, thinking that columns of tanks invading your country is something crazy. You should be aware of that. This is possible. Drones which attack your homes, missiles which attack your places, you should be aware that this can be reality. The key about preparation is people believe this can be reality. War is closer than we think. Deaths are closer than we think. So the UK should be aware and should prepare, because the things the army knows about wars before this war are outdated." Urging Brits to brace themselves for a modern-day battle on European soil, he delivered a chilling warning that the spectre of war is far closer than we think, demanding swift and decisive preparations right now. The UK currently maintains around 70,000 active troops in its armed forces, a number that pales in stark comparison to the massive scale and manpower of Vladimir Putin's heavily militarized Russian armed forces. Andrusiv cautioned that attempting to rope in untrained civilians at the 11th hour as a desperate measure would prove utterly no match against Russia's battle-hardened professional military machine, and I quote, in the Major's own words, "Western doctrines are based on the professional army, but as Putin shows. And we show that such a kind of war will involve millions of civilians in the army. You cannot command them as professional warriors, so you need to find other approaches to these people, because normally in civilian life they are not so strict in discipline. So you should also change a lot of things, because the war is changing every day. You should follow the innovation. You should follow the things which just changed every moment, like the drones." This urgent warning emerged just as NATO chief Mark Rutte publicly told Western nations to steel themselves and prepare comprehensively for the outbreak of a major war on the continent.
We are Russia's next target. And we are already in harm's way. When I became NATO Secretary General last year, I warned that what is happening in Ukraine could happen to allied countries too. That we had to shift to a wartime mindset. I fear that too many are quietly complacent. Too many don't feel the urgency. And too many believe that time is on our side. It is not. The time for action is now. And how is Putin able to continue his war against Ukraine? The answer is China. China is Russia's lifeline. China wants to prevent its ally from losing in Ukraine. Without China's support, Russia could not continue to wage this war. President Trump wants to end the bloodshed now. And he is the only one who can get Putin to the negotiating table. So let's put Putin to the test. Let's see if he really wants peace, or if he prefers the slaughter to continue. We need to be ready, because at the end of this first quarter of the 21st century, conflicts are no longer fought at arm's length. Conflict is at our door. Russia has brought war back to Europe. And we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured.
Vladimir Putin recently declared in no uncertain terms that Russia stood fully ready to plunge into war with Europe if ongoing peace talks over Ukraine collapsed entirely without resolution. Putin explicitly stated that Russia was prepared to fight all of Europe militarily if the Ukraine peace talks failed completely, signaling a dangerous escalation in rhetoric and intent. British defence chiefs have openly admitted that the UK's armed forces have been severely hollowed out over years of budget cuts, leaving critical gaps in readiness for any serious conflict. Figures reported extensively in the UK press revealed that Britain desperately needed billions more pounds invested in defence spending to shore up its weakening military capabilities. The UK required a substantial increase in soldiers, warships, and combat aircraft to stand any chance in future NATO-led fights against aggressive adversaries like Russia. Since the end of the Cold War, successive British governments have relentlessly slashed defence budgets during periods of peacetime, prioritising other expenditures over military strength. Former Defence Secretary Penny Mordaunt issued a dire warning that Britain would inevitably pay a heavy price in blood and treasure if its defences remained perilously weak and underfunded. Drones have emerged as absolutely central to the brutal war unfolding in Ukraine over the last 2 grueling years, revolutionising tactics on the battlefield. Ukraine has fired an astonishing total of around 7 million drones directly against Russian forces during that intense 2-year period, showcasing their pivotal role in combat. The UK possesses only about 4,000 drones in its arsenal, a limited stockpile that would be completely depleted in less than a single day if deployed at Ukraine's relentless usage rate. Under the current Labour government, Britain has repeatedly delayed meeting NATO's key defence spending target of 2.5% of GDP, falling short of alliance commitments. The UK has also significantly scaled back large-scale joint exercises involving its Army, Navy, and Air Force, reducing essential training for coordinated operations. The First Sea Lord issued a stark warning that the Royal Navy was struggling mightily to effectively counter growing Russian threats in the strategically vital North Atlantic region. A critical shortage of British submarines was squarely blamed as Moscow aggressively poured billions of rubles into modernizing and expanding its powerful Northern Fleet capabilities.